to represent us. And then that person goes to Washington, and it is incumbent on that person to represent the people from the district or the state that they come from. Simple, isn't it? You're supposed to go represent the people that elected you. Now, somehow over the years, certainly the past few years, or some number of years, recent years, you hear senators and congressmen say that, hey, we're elected to come to Washington and then to use our judgment and vote our will. See how it's turned? We elect them to go make all the decisions for us. They don't even want to hear from us. Just like, for example, when we were calling McCain and Roe and all those guys, they didn't want to hear from people. They don't want to hear from their constituents. Isn't that weird? You're supposed to represent us. So therefore, if you represent us, wouldn't you think they would want to hear from us? Well, they don't. Why did our founding fathers not set us up as a democracy? They were privileged to a man named Alexander Tytler. He was in the mid-1700s. He had done the most extensive look or history or investigation of democracies going back to the beginning of time. And he found that throughout history, democracies always fail. They always fail. And the reason was, I'm not stating his words exactly, I'm paraphrasing, but the reason he found that democracies are always doomed to fail. At some point or another, people figure out that if they can get a majority, they can get their turn at controlling, as he called, the trough. They can control the treasury. So if you just get enough people together, whatever the majority wants, the majority will get at the expense of the minority. Let me put that in real terms, current day terms. If you take all of the people that are on welfare, Social Security, unemployment, want free education, free medicine, want free stuff, if you add all those people up, that's a lot of votes. And of course, they're going to vote to continue on with what they're getting from the government, and they can vote a raise for themselves. And the poor group that's not that group, you got to pay for it. So if I get it'd be like a business. If you've got 100 employees and your employees get together under a majority rules, they can get together and say, look, we all want a raise, and we vote us to take all the money, and you get minimum wage, the owner and bosses. Would that work? No. Nor will a democracy. It won't work here. Why? Do you now see why we've got this incredible debt that just keeps growing, this 19 trillion in debt that just keeps growing? It's because we're functioning as a democracy. And we're being led down the road of the democracy by I hate calling them leaders, so I'm just going to say our congressmen and senators. They're leading us down that road. Why? Why are they leading us down that road? Because, what I've always told you, they care about one thing, their job. All they got to do is convince enough people to be a majority that we're going to give you stuff. You're going to get free this, free that. And then when they ascertain that there are more people that want free stuff than there are people working, then they'll use the people wanting free stuff to vote them in, and then promise to take the free stuff, get the free stuff from the people that are working. Doesn't that sound like Hillary and Sanders? Isn't that what they say? When you listen to a Hillary or when you hear a Hillary or Sanders debate, when you hear one of those, it's a give-a-thon. Who can give the most? Who can give the most? Let me stop the inquiry from calling 1 second. Maybe that'll stop him from calling. There's an article coming out. I'll just give you a little inside poop here for interrupting my program right there. Bill, the last thing he did in Arkansas when he got to get on the plane to go to Washington to be sworn in, the last thing he did was get out of a car, get on the plane, and guess what? In the car that he had spent the evening with was the wife of Federal Appellate Court Judge Richard Arnold. Later, Bill Clinton tried to get Richard Arnold to the Supreme Court, but I blocked that. I helped block that. That kept him from getting approved and getting even brought before the Senate panel. Just so you ought to know. But anyway, so you see, our politicians want us to be a democracy. And like Hillary and Sanders, it's a give-a-thon. If you'll vote for me, I'll give you education. If you'll vote for me, I'll give you health care. I'll give you. Why are they doing that? Because they know what Mitt Romney said in his campaign for president, which was a joke, but it was a campaign for president. Wasn't a good one, but he did make one point. He pointed out that, 49% of the people in this country are getting money from the federal government one way or the other. One way or the other. And the politicians have learned in Washington, you know what? If we grow government, this is a nasty secret very few people even think about. If we grow government and we form all of these new agencies and we create all of these new things, you know what? We hire all of these new people. Washington, D.C. has probably been the growingest city in America for years. Because it's growing leaps and bounds. Why? Because of all the jobs being created. And now, go around, folks, when I was growing up, when most of you were growing up, a government job didn't pay very much, but it had good benefits and you had security, job security. Remember those days? Now, government jobs pay more than the private sector. That's how it's changed just in my lifetime and yours. Think about that. Dear God, think about that. It has changed so very, very much. All right, folks, I got 10. Oh, my. Kicking it off today. I guess it's close enough to the commercial, 1 minute, so I'll go ahead and start it. Miss Carla has kicked off the dinging today. She was first with $150. Miss Carla, thank you. And yes, I have your address. And yes, you will get a book and a CD. And then, even though I have told him not to, Alden has sent 10 to help kick the dinging off. Folks, we were about, thanks to yesterday, believe it or not, we didn't get the money during the program. But after the program, Bob, I won't say his last name, came through as usual. Bless you, Bob. Thank you. Thank you, my friend. And Steve, I'm not going to say their name, but Steve and I believe his mother came through and we made it. And then there were a couple, 3 other people that came through. I can't remember right now. And so out of the 1,200 we have to get today, or I have to get, I say we, you don't have to, I have to. We started out 500 down, about. So now we're 350 thanks to Carla, and we're 340 thanks to Alden. If you can help, please ding the PayPal at nicholslive@aol.com. And somebody did it last night or yesterday, and they sent it, and it went to a purchase, so now I can't use that money. I've got to send it back. So please, I don't do it all the time, but I must. I've got to, or end up like a mess I am. Please use gift or donation. Do not send it for a purchase or product. Please, gift or donation. I don't sell nothing. I don't. So with that, if you can, please help. Please help. And if you have a question, if you have a question, I've got let me just go through them right quick. Tell Bob thank you. Yes, Bob, that's from the audience. They thank you so much. Got this from Greg at Leading Edge. If those listening would please tell their friends, your audience will grow and the message multiply. And today is our best audience since inception. So Greg says we have more people listening today than ever before on this program. That's wonderful. Big time wonderful. Here is from a listener. Hillary has started using the race card. Do you know if Bill or have any ties to the KKK? No, he does not. Or have you heard her make or Bill make racial slurs? You bet. You bet. You sound much better today. God bless. Charlie. Thank you, Charlie. This is how I sound when I'm able to get the treatments. It's what it is. Today, now this is a long one. Good morning, Mr. Nichols. I just recently have been following you, and I thank you for your service to our country. I wanted to ask you a question gosh, this is a long question, so I can't read it. I'll have to answer it later. And then I got this from Miss Carla. Tell the people to click on left side, send to friends or family when you go to PayPal. And then this one, wasn't Hillary on the board of Walmart in the beginning? Wasn't Walmart's slogan American made? Then it switched to made in China. Wasn't Walmart headquarters in Arkansas? Yes, Hillary was on the board of Walmart. She certainly was. And then there was a time when Walton was alive, right before he died, and I knew him. He was a great man, really was. He destroyed small town America business, but anyway, he started the company. But he tried in his latter years to get Walmart to have Buy America. And he went and he put all this money into setting up aisles with American products. But what he found out, he couldn't buy that much stuff made in America. By the time he did that, so much of everyday things were already not being made in America. He couldn't get them in America. They were made in China and Mexico, elsewhere. So, no, their slogan's not made in America anymore. Not anymore. But maybe if we get Trump, you know what? If he's the man he has pitched us that he is, then maybe we will get back to America made again. Here's one from a listener. It's a long. I can't do long questions. I just can't. Just can't. So kind of make your questions on the. If you're texting me a question, please make it kind of short, because I can't read those long ones. I can't. So now back to democracies. You see now why we're being pushed as a people in this country. We're being pushed into a democracy so that the people in power get to stay in power. And they get to use us. They get to use us on us. Isn't that something? Isn't that something? Have a listener. We have to decrease government size in the Fed, not have to pay taxes. How can we do that without pitchforks? We need our guns without background checks or permits. I don't think, and we just got here, Charlie, Mac Auction, thank you. We got 10 there, so we're 3:30 away. Guys, let me tell you a little clue about our founding fathers. Let me give you just another little bit of history. When I was in War College, I was allowed in Washington in the National Archives to go through and literally hold in my hands the actual documents written by our founding fathers, Washington and all of them. I mean, I literally held them in my hands. Or if I couldn't hold them, I was standing right over them. It was incredible. It's the most awe-struck I've ever been, sitting there with all of that stuff. What I learned during that experience, which was not what I was there to learn, but what I learned. Our founding fathers knew. They knew one day, our government would turn tyrannical. They did. They didn't, look what they had just come through. And these were smart men, no, they didn't have computers. We sometimes think today we're so brilliant because we got all these computers, and therefore our founding fathers and all of those people were idiots and stupid by comparison to us today. No. They were geniuses by comparison to us today. Truly. When they created our form of government, the representative republic, it was called the Great Experiment because nobody had ever done it before. That was not a system of government widely used throughout the world. There were kings and dictators and dukes and earls. There wasn't any representative republics. You see, they didn't know when they formed this young country. They didn't know. Oh, Charlie McAuction is me. Thank you. I got you. They didn't know what was right. They really said in a couple of letters I read, they didn't know what was right, so why don't we form it based off what we know is wrong? We know what's wrong, but we don't know what's right. And so when they set out with Jefferson to do the Constitution, if you look at the Constitution is what's called a negative contract. Negative contract. I don't know if you ever knew that, but it's called a negative contract or a negative compact. And it's not a list of things to do by the government. It's a list of things that the government shall not do. Not do. It's telling you what you better not do. Anyway, I've got another text here from Alden. People need to look at their third grade test. I don't know if many people had third grade tests anymore, but they didn't know what to do or what was right, but they knew what they had been through, and they had a real good definition and a real good experience with wrong. So they created our Constitution. Somewhere along the way, we have gotten to the point where we believe the Second Amendment. Now, the Second Amendment is precious, precious, because it says we have the right to keep and bear arms, protect and bear arms. I mean, we got the right. We need it, especially in the times coming that we can see are coming to us now. We need to be able to protect and defend our homes. I hope you know that. And we must fight faithfully anyone that dares to take that right from us. And I expect everyone that's listening to me right now in our meeting, I expect every one of you to be with me in this. We will fight and protect that right to all ends. We must. The government wants to take them up. We can't let them. We can't. But here's where the story got a little twisted. We're told to be ever vigilant. And when our government, they didn't say if, they said when our government becomes tyrannical. Actually, I think they may have said when and if our government becomes tyrannical. It is incumbent upon us to overthrow it. So we hear that, and we somehow put together, well, I guess it's logical you put it together. Well, if we got a tyrannical government like we have now, we need the Second Amendment so we have guns so that we can overthrow it or maybe defend ourselves from it. Is that what you think? Is that what you have been brought up to believe? Let me tell you what I believe. I am not going to be so presumptuous as to say to you I'm right. I believe I am. I believe I understood what they were telling each other in their notes as they were passing them back, their letters, passing them back and forth to each other, and what they were talking about. They were pretty plain spoken. What they were saying was, we need to be able to always keep and bear arms. We always must be able to protect and defend our personal property and to maintain a well-disciplined militia. You see, because it was the original intent of our founding fathers that the federal government not be some big, costly monster like it has become. They wanted to keep the federal government where it was minuscule. They didn't even want, folks, to put this huge army together. They didn't. They thought the smartest thing to do, instead of paying for an army, full-time professional army, let's make sure all the citizenry is armed. Make sure the citizenry is armed, and then get them to train and form militia. And if we're invaded by the British again, or anyone else, we will have a standing militia that we can bring to bear. Protect ourselves and defend our country. You see, They didn't, guys, every one of them, they said we need to keep our business here at home. We didn't need to go marching into other countries, taking up the affairs of other countries across the ocean. They didn't think we needed to do that. I think we don't need to do that today. They would have been considered, they'd have been considered racist. They'd have been considered nationalists because they thought we should stay within our borders and we should live and protect our country. We didn't need to be going nation building and all this junk we do today. They didn't think that. They wouldn't be very popular today, except to people like us, I hope. Well, what am I saying? You see, when it came to overthrowing a tyrannical government, they gave us three weapons that they deemed, that was the word used, they deemed sufficient. What were the three words they deemed sufficient, or the three things they deemed sufficient? Our voices collectively, and our vote. Wow, what a concept. What a concept. Our voices collectively, and our vote. Now, I've been told by Alden it's time for my second commercial, so I will go to it. But I'm going to come back to those three weapons that we have in our arsenal, or maybe had. All right, folks, we're $320 away from what we've got to have for this, the biggest day of the money I have to have. That's it. I said we again. Please forgive me for saying that. We don't. Y'all don't. I do. Help me by dinging the PayPal, please. We're ahead. We're ahead of where we normally are today, and that's a godsend. If you can, please, we're $320 away. I said it again. Please, y'all forgive me when I say that. That's just a slip of the tongue. I'm $320 away. What I gotta have? Can you please help? Go to PayPal, please, and ding it with what you can, if you can. Nichols Live at AOL.com, please. Somebody ding it right quick. Nichols Live at AOL.com, and please do the donation or gift to the left. I think is what Carla said. Don't do product or purchase on the right. Don't do product purchase. Don't do that. Please do donation or gift. Now, back to the three weapons. Our voices collectively, and our vote. You see, people in Washington, long ago, when they started this silent coup, knew what I just told you. I can't tell you exactly when the silent coup actually began. I can't tell you that. I can only tell you we're at the beginning of the end of it. It's about to collapse. It's about to be done. They knew it. And then, in recent years, starting to be quite honest, the most aggressive movement started with Bill Clinton. Because Bill Clinton, when he went to Washington, I've told y'all that story. He told me over and over, he said, Nichols, you know what perfect government is? That's when you have to answer to just a handful of people. So few people you could count them on one hand, the fingers on one hand. And everybody else is dirt and poor. And you know what? They're so busy worrying about feeding their children, putting food on the table and shoes on their kids that they don't pay no attention to politics. And I'd say, Bill, that's great. I understand. That's a really good system. Of course, you know that's communism. He said, I don't care what you call it. That's what we ought to be. And folks, that's what they're doing. And when he went to Washington, he fully set out to make that happen. That's why it was so important that I started the day he started going to Washington and running for president. Well, actually, when he started running for president, I made my mind up I would stop him. I committed that day I would stop him. And then eventually Hillary. I would stop them because that's what they want to do to us. Our voices collectively in our vote. They started then taking our voice away. It actually started before then, but it really ramped up when Bill got in there because he was moving headstrong. He and Hillary were moving headstrong into moving us towards communism. And they knew, guess why? I had told Bill this same story over and over and over. He knew this story. I told y'all. I told it to him, made him understand it, made him believe it, made him know it. Now they've got us, if you think about it, where now they've got it where certain words we say we're racist. You know, I say I don't like Muslims. I don't like Muslims. There ain't no such thing as a tame Muslim. There's not. If they follow the Quran, they can turn and will turn if they have to. They want to kill you, your kids, your grandbabies. Oh, you don't believe me. I understand that. All you hear is how it's a peaceful religion. You know, hey, peace, love, dope, right? I want you, next time somebody says to you, you can't say that about Muslims. They're tame. You ask whoever tells you that little thing. You ask them, well, let me ask you this. If it's such a peaceful religion that they're so proud of, then why do they never say, you never hear a mohair say, you know what, folks, if you don't believe we're a peaceful religion, just pick up a Quran, read it. Do they? You never heard one say that. Look at our Quran. It's full of peace, love, dope. No, it's not. 93 times it says kill the infidel. By the way, that's us. And it don't discriminate. It don't discriminate. Infidel, baby, man, woman, child. It don't discriminate. Kill. So don't tell me that they're tame. They may be tame now, but when they get the call, they won't be. But see, you can't say what I just said. Man, you're a Moslophobe, I guess, whatever you call that. And my God, Larry, you just called Muslims mohairs. Hey, you bet I did. Ragtops, mohairs. What else can I say to offend them? I fully intend to offend them. I don't like them. Well, I'll tell you, I don't like Mexicans. I don't like Mexicans. Now, let me qualify that. If somebody is a Mexican that is here in this country legally, then they are either here legally, vacationing or whatever, which is perfectly fine, or, you know what, they come here legal and they're as much American as I am. They are. I don't not like them. But I guarantee you, all these illegal wetbacks popping their heads up everywhere you go and taking American jobs, yeah, I don't like them at all. Don't like them at all. Well, gosh, Larry, you can't say that, can you? Now you're a Mexilophobe or whatever they call that stuff. Now I can't talk about TBGMAs or whatever you call the queers that don't know whether they're male or female. Can't call queers queers because you don't say that word. There's something that makes me a Islamic or whatever a phobe. I mean, there's so many phobes that I can't say that, you know what, you kind of get the picture, don't you? We get the picture, don't we? They're fixing it to where we can't talk to each other. I got this message here. Larry, we got your back. Even if I would be Muslim, I know you're the man and know what you're trying to say. Thank you. You bet. Hope you're not a Muslim, because if you are, I don't like you. But that's your business. Well, hell, look at London. Boys, I'm going to tell you, London has dealt itself some grief. It has dealt itself some grief. It's elected a mohair mayor. London has elected a Muslim mayor. Go figure. They will regret that one day, probably not too far off. Not too far off. You better watch out, London. You better watch out. You're in trouble deep now. But you see, they stop us from saying, here we go, Robert, bless your heart, he sent 20, so we're 300 away. 300 away, please, 300. They fixed it to where we can't talk to each other. Because you got to watch out what you say. There goes our voice. Then our voices collectively, my word, Donald Trump goes to speak out at a crowd, to speak at an audience, and outside there's this bunch of wetback Mexicans, illegals, screaming, hollering, paid by George Soros to come and riot and beat up people. But you let Christians stand up together and say the Lord's Prayer. At least be in there and arrest them. Remove them from the area. Voices together, collectively. As long as we watch what we say collectively, then I guess you can say something collectively. But don't you see how they've roped us in? They've roped us in to where now we can't talk. We can't say collectively, because now, even though we, the average middle class, average American, by the way, let's say this, even the average white middle class American, we can't get together and have a white American Day. We can't. If we do that, probably be arrested, number one. It's probably illegal. But it'll be certainly racist, and the media would make such a to-do over it, everybody go home in shame. Now, they can have a black day, they can have a Mexican day, they can have all these kind of days, but a white, middle-class American Christian conservative, you can't have a day. There go our voices collectively. Then, oh my God, then, our vote. $100 just sent PayPal from Shane. Thank you, Shane. For some reason I don't see it though. That bothers me. Did you make sure you sent it donation or gift instead of Shane, please check and make sure that it was look, I need to double check that, but I don't see it, buddy. I don't see it. Now it may not be on my phone, and it may have come through, but it's not on my phone. So Shane, please check and make sure it was sent. Gift, not a purchase, please. But thank you, Shane. Now we're 200 away. 200 away. Our vote. Well, got time to get words. Time for that third commercial. Let me just do it real fast. I will do it real fast, folks. I need your help for the weekend for all the treatment junk I got to go through. We're 200 short. If you can help, please do. Please make sure that it's gift or donation, not purchase or product, please. If you can do that, it's nicholslive@aol.com. If you can, we're 200 away. Please help if you can. Now, our vote. Do I need to tell y'all how they have stolen our weapon, the vote? Do I? Do I need to tell you? I think you've seen it now, I believe. I believe you've seen it now. Hold on one second. We just got 100 from Wolf Breed, but I'm concerned I still don't see Shane, yours, and I'm looking at another place, so I'm sorry, I don't know why it's not there. But you see that they have taken our vote away from us. Yes to friend, not purchase, just like last time. Give it a second. Okay, thank you, I will. Shane was saying he did send it to friend, purchase. Give it a second, maybe it hadn't come through. Well, that wolf thing hadn't even come through on the one that I go to, by the way, on the phone, so maybe it will. Guys, please, our vote. How did they take it? Well, prior to now, oh, okay, Wolf Breed is Shane. Thank you, Shane. Got it. Thank you. So now we're 100 away. Thank you. Wow, texts are coming in left and right. The Muslims riot at the drop of a hat. They will start a rumor that a Muslim was raped by a Christian man or Jewish man, and they run through the street cutting off heads. Tell them to make it a gift. Yes, thank you. Larry, they need to go to family friend. Okay, thank you, Carla. Family and friend. Back to the vote. Here's what's happened with the vote. You now know, coming up in the general election, our vote does count. Our vote does count. The problem, the way they have stolen our vote, was in the primaries. And you didn't know it. Now you do, thanks to Donald Trump. You see, on the Democratic side, you've got superdelegates. The superdelegates basically will determine who gets to be the Democratic nominee. And then on the Republican side, you have the delegates, which are party loyalists, and they determine, which you now know. Guess what, guys? They say it. They said it. The delegates in Pennsylvania, some of them even said it. Your vote don't mean nothing. We pick who's going to be the Republican candidate for president. So you see, the parties pick, and the leadership of the parties get together, and they pick who it's going to be against each other. That way, whichever one wins, the system stays intact. And then we get to vote in the general election, but don't you see, we've always been forced to vote for the lesser of two evils. We don't have a choice. They have stolen our vote. Well, here's what we're going to do. Here's what we're going to do. I'm not going to let them tell me what I can or cannot say. They're not. They may put me in jail, then they'll get to pay the medical bills or let me die. I'll not let them tell me what I can or can't say. And here at our meeting, they'll not quieten our voices, because when the opportunity arises that we raise our voices together and we get on the phone and we let these people know that don't want to hear from us no more, we let them hear from us in spite of what they think, and we hit them where it hurts by letting them know we know who and what they are. And we really hit them where it hurts. You know, we really hit them where it hurts. We make sure they understand we're going to do everything in our power to make sure they never hold office again. Never hold office again. Scare them, let them know. And then, you know what? Come election time, folks, we're going to start cleaning house. We're going to start getting rid of them. That's what we're going to start trying to do. But our voices are going to be heard collectively. If you're here with me today, our voices are being heard today. Yours and mine. We're being heard. And the neat thing about our vote, we're going to get our vote back this time. Trump may not be the perfect answer. I cannot say he is. I cannot say he is the perfect answer. But at least he might be outside of the system that has so destroyed our country. And I can say without any shadow of a doubt that he is our last hope. He is our last hope. Stephen, I just got 50, so we're 50 away. Somebody please help. 50 away. He is our last hope. If we work hard, help get him elected, and he turns out to stab us all in the back, get right in there with the boys, and get right into the power, and be another Obama, except blonde-headed and white, then I guess we're done. I guess we're done. But I believe this about Donald Trump. I believe he is such a prideful man. I don't believe he could live with himself going all over this country and saying all these things that he would do and then be made a liar to all of us. I just don't think he would. I just don't think he can do that. I just don't think he can do that. I think that would kill him. I think that would destroy him. Now, he may not get everything he said, but I don't think he will fall into being one of them. I just don't. But then we got to watch him, and we're going to watch him. And we've got to watch the RNC, and we're going to watch the RNC. This guy named Stassi or something like that, he's wandering around. He may be the Republican third trick. He may run as a third party. If he runs as a third party, you know now the truth. You know the truth now. If he runs as a third party, Larry, my God, trying to send you 100, but same problem with PayPal. So mad because I want you to have this. We'll keep trying. Dixie, thank you, Dixie. Just keep trying, honey. It'll come through, I think. Thank you so much, honey. Dixie's such a good friend. Well, all of you are good friends. Yeah, old Sassy's that his name? I think that's his name. He's a Republican, swears he'll never vote for Trump. And swears he'll never vote for Trump. And then he's considering running as a third party. Remember what you now know. Y'all know it. Most people don't. Well, that Greg Hunter, his audience knows it because I told him last night. Very few people know. It only takes 6%. If that guy runs as a third party, and then the RNC elite shadow fund him. How do they do that? They send the money through their PACs that nobody knows where the money comes from. And this guy gets enough money. He can't get on 38 states that he's got to get on to be able to win. He's not in there to win. He's in there to take 6% of the vote. 6% of the vote to ensure what? Hillary is president. Hillary. Now, if that happens, I have a plan. We'll take care of that. We'll stop that. Just no sense going through all that if it hadn't happened yet. By the way, I want to make one little note here. Any of you that know how to go to Frances Swaggart, Jimmy Swaggart's wife, I think, she had today a program where she had this financial guy or somebody, guy, woman, whatever, or both. They came on, and guess what they talked about? They talked about what we talked about earlier this week, what I tried to tell you earlier this week about your money. They talk about it. So you see, it's getting out. It's getting out. Ain't me saying it. It's getting out there. And they were quoting the same articles that I quoted you, so that didn't even come from me either. And they talked about how they are just going to make it so impossibly hard for you to get your money out of the bank. They're going to punish you if you take your money out. They're going to call the police. They're going to do everything in their power, because they got to keep that money in there, and then they're going to convert it to a digital money, and then they're going to push a button, and you're not going to have any. They're going to repatriate. Remember, nationalization, negative interest, repatriation. Never forget those three things. That is an integral part of a coup. That is an integral part of a coup. And since we are in a coup, albeit a silent coup, the fact that we're at the ending throes of the coup, they're getting near that point. To put us in submission to this coup, they have to strip us of our wealth. Strip us of our wealth. So, go figure. Go to, if you want to watch that and just hear somebody else say it, not me, listen to Francis Swaggart if you can go to it. Y'all, we've got 4 minutes. I hope this week has helped you. I hope you're beginning to understand what we meet about here. I do not want you to believe, I don't want you to tell people, because I'm not a talk show host. This is not a talk show. We're not here to compete with Alex Jones, Jeff Rents, any of them. We're not here to compete with anybody. We're here to build an army to save America. We are here to build an army to save America. And then the other thing we're here to do is to fight the propaganda. Now, you can send people to Larry Nichols Live on YouTube. Larry Nichols Live. Alden has got it coming up. It'll be a few hours, but this program will be up on the air. People that can't come during the day, tell them now they can go there and hear the program. But remember, we're a meeting. We're here for me to tell you what I know. To give y'all as much of what I know as I can humanly give you. That way, should something happen to me and I not be here, you know, none of us are guaranteed life. Another day. But if you'll come, some of it may seem repetitious, but I've got to drill in you what you've got to have to fight. And then we'll fight together. We will fight together. I promise. Jeff got his 20, so thank you, Jeff. But it's Friday. I want y'all to have a good weekend. Y'all have made sure that we have a weekend without sweating blood. Thank you. Thank you for everything you've done. We'll meet back here Monday. We'll saddle up. We'll suit up. And we'll get in the game. But take a break. Have a good weekend. With that, this is Nichols Live, and I'm Larry Nichols. And I thank you more than you know. See you Monday.